ever done this, a Kevin on Whisky and a Jeff Whisky collaboration, but not just any collaboration. This is an inter-review, a new wee section I'm hoping for, and it's going to be asking questions about Jeff Whisky and his journey within. I'm starting from wherever remembers his whisky journey from to now, and why YouTube's a big part of his life. So we're hoping this all goes to plan. I've got my iPad set up here. I'm hoping it's coming through. Hopefully, if there's anyone there, can you tell me if the audio is fine and it works? Okay, then I'll introduce Jeff. I know he's sitting there, but we'll introduce him to see if his audio works as well. But a wee thumbs up at anyone in the chat that can hear me loud and clear, or if there's any issues at all, please let me know. I'll have a look. Who's we got? Charlie's in. How you doing, Charlie? Petehead, Thomas Jones, and Tim as well. Yes, we can hear you. Fantastic. Jeff, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you, mate. All good. Can't complain.
Good. Can everyone hear Jeff? Okay, is that? It's like back at school, isn't it? Like trying to find out what's going on. We can hear you loud and clear. Perfect. So that's what we need. That's the start.
Brilliant.
I thought there would be more issues, but we can come across them when we get there. So again, Jeff, welcome to the channel. It's good to see you again. I've not seen you since the Glasgow Whisky Festival, I think it was, and we tried to do this a few weeks back, and I think I was under the weather, and we had to kind of cancel last minute, which was a bit frustrating. But tonight, I'm calling this an inter-review because we both love whiskey. I've got a dram with me in my glass. Have you also got a dram poured?
Yep, I have also got a dram ready to rock.
And I suspect we've probably not got the same thing. It'd be fantastic if we do. I am on the Lindors, the first edition. I went for a Lowland, just to get a nice, easy start.
Yeah, I'm miles apart. I went for a nice, easy start as well, but I've gone for Redbreast 12.
Awesome. So you went Ireland. So we'll get on to maybe a wee bit about it. There's a couple of questions I've got. So a wee segment I like to do. Well, I'm going to hopefully work out at the end. But just to get into a little bit from you. So as I say, if there's going to be any questions, put them in the chat that you would like to ask Jeff, because it's going to be about Jeff's journey from his first start in whiskey to kind of now. So I've done a wee bit of digging, Jeff, all right? So I'm going to see if my facts are correct, and you can tell me if they're wrong.
All right.
Channel is at Jeff Whisky, so if you follow me, don't follow Jeff, you're doing something wrong, so make sure you get on there. If someone wants to put the wee link in, so at Jeff Whisky, and you get it on his YouTube. At this point in time, you have 1.64 thousand followers. You have 111 videos, maybe 112, because you put one out today, so you might have just tipped that.
I've messed up your statistics.
Yes, you've messed up. I need to get my pen back out in Tipex. And you've got about 1.7 thousand on Instagram. But from your YouTube, it's been about 3 years that you've kind of been doing it. And I would say that's quite a quick rise through, but I think you're editing. And what is your kind of background? Because your editing things seem to be beyond amazing for how you do everything.
Well, that's definitely too kind. So yeah, fortunately I have a background. So my day job, sadly, it's not whiskey, but it's graphic web design, all that kind of creative stuff. I didn't have the brains to do anything intelligent, so I went down the creative avenue, which probably explains my interest in dress sense. And so yeah, it's been a good. Jeff Whisky was kind of born out of. I was taking a lot of photos of whiskey on my normal Instagram account.
Yep.
None of my friends were interested, so I thought, okay, let's separate the two. And yeah, it was a good excuse to play around with logos, and it's quite a large inside joke that I've had many logos in the 3 years. But yeah, so it's the design side definitely leaks through into whiskey.
Because I think that comes through with personality as well, right? Like I've met you face to face, other people, and you are what you are on the camera to what you are in real life. There's no hidden. What's the word called? You're not like a different persona or whatever you put on. This is just you. So a couple of things. So the thing for me is, do you ever remember your first interaction with whiskey? Was it a positive one? Was it a negative one? Do you ever have that? Were you stealing whiskey from Grandad's cupboard, or were you working in bars and taking shots of whiskey? What is your first kind of positive or negative interaction with whiskey? Do you remember what whiskey it was?
With whiskey specifically, so I grew up in Devon, like a little seaside town. So I discovered stuff like Foster's far too young. So it was like tinnies on the beach kind of thing. So I quickly got bored of all that, and I'm very much an old man at heart. So kind of me thinking as a, I don't know, dare I say, of legal age. Um, I know who I'm confessing this to now, but yeah, so I probably was a bit too young and dumb.
We've all been there.
But
We've all been there.
it was most likely would have been Glenfiddich 12 because that's what my mum drinks, that with ginger ale.
Yep.
Probably would have been positive, I would imagine, because I can't think of a time when I didn't like it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it kind of was very much on the back burner until maybe 2016, 17. And then it's kind of, yeah, I've got one bottle. Okay, I've got like three bottles. And then probably 2019, it kind of snowballed. And then we all had a bit more time on our hands. So then it got a bit carried away.
So you find that that first experience with Glenfiddich, did you see yourself going out and buying that bottle because it's the only thing you remembered? Did you notice, like, so for me, like one of my first times trying whiskey, and I say this to everyone, that I don't think anyone ever tries whiskey for the first ever time and says, wow, that's amazing. It's always, how can you drink that, and have to kind of teach your palate. But do you now have a soft spot for Glenfiddich 12? Is it always on your shelf, do you notice?
I've got an old bottle, so it's quite. I think I helped clean someone helped clean the house or something. So I come across they were given an old bottle of it, which is the bottle I remember seeing in the cupboards in my parents' house. So I haven't opened that, so I don't have an open bottle of it on the go. It's probably a bit too pricey for me to keep a bottle on shelf for that reason.
Yeah.
But I think from what I can remember telling people saying, "Oh, this tastes like apples." And that was something that stuck with me. I was a very large child, let's say, so I've sampled a lot of food in my day. So I think that helped me adapt flavors to drink, if that makes sense, or my
Yeah.
brain was able to connect the two. Um, so maybe that's what helped me to steer me further down this journey. But even to this day, whenever I have any infinite, it's always like, oh yeah, that's like appley. It's like an orchard. And that's what it says in the tins. That made me feel like, yeah, I know what I'm doing, even if I had no clue and I still don't.
Do you feel that, so that kind of first experience with the whiskey, that apple note's just always there? Can you notice it in other whiskies now, and does it revert you back to that first experience? Because we had a tasting with party with Tomato now with Scott Adamson, and it was all about memories and notes. So a lot of the time for me, it was like, well, I used to be my grand's used to always make tablet, and I would always pick out these notes in bourbon cask, or that toffee, that freshly made tablet that was just sitting eating off the spoon, like that kind of sweet notes. Do you find that now that there's apple notes come through more kind of lively on,
Yeah.
say, like a more fresh bourbon cask?
Yeah, so apple is definitely one of the notes I pick up. Like, I was just reminiscing about Lagavulin I had on the V pub, and that to me tastes like a nice apple orchard that's just been burnt by a dragon. Just like if you've seen the film Rain of Fire, where it goes through and just
Yeah,
destroys their crops. That's it's like,
that's
as
it
you
in a
said, it connects
glass.
to memories.
It's totally, I totally get that. I think it's something that kind of goes through, and you can always reminisce to other flavours. We've just had some folks coming in here. I'm going to see who else we've got, and if we've asked, if there's any questions that's going. There's a lot of chat going on. This is fantastic. Let declare. We've got Rick Johnson all the way from San Francisco. Good to see you, buddy. It must be, was that 8 hours behind midday for you? Lunch drams. Love that. Love that. Danny Keenan's in. Good to see you, mate. Multi Missions, the man with the craziest quizzes in the planet. No quizzes here tonight, Jeff. Do not worry. We've not tagged them in yet for that. That's for later, I think. Donna Pass Whiskey's in, Reese in, Lee J's in. Who else have we got? Frank B, I think we said that as well. Back in Lost Connection when Mr. Slapper started talking. I suspect that's you, but in the nicest way. And who else have we got? Yeah, so just loads of wee kind of chats going on here. Donna Pass Whiskey, Rick Johnson, Lee J. Yeah, fantastic. So there's a question there. So Multi Missions put a question in for us. For me, have you got any concrete plans following the ambassadorship from Tomatin? I'll get into that near the end, Menno, and I'll let you know. Because me and also Jeff have been working on something in the background that I'll reveal near the end. So, kind of from that memory of whiskey, did you find it was you were more intrigued and you had to try other ones? Did you go to a distillery after that? Was it in pubs and people? Like my friend group sounds like yours. Like you didn't have many friends that enjoyed whiskey, so it's hard to kind of go out and feel that you can buy a dram in front of your friends and they're all taking sambuca shots and you're like, oh, I'd like to try whiskey, and it just doesn't go down well in that crowd, right? Your beer drinking friends want to drink beers and go and get drunk, but whiskey's more of this. Can you learn about it in different environments and so forth? So being in a pub, I think it's, for me personally, harder to drink whiskey. But when you're in a whiskey bar, obviously it's a bit easier because everyone's in with the same kind of mindset. But when you're out with your pals and drink, so how did you find moving into your kind of whiskey world now from that experience?
I think it definitely helped that I was always like the mum of the group. Like even on my own stag do, they we went me and a few mates we went to Amsterdam for the culture mainly because I really wanted to do the Anne Frank's house, which sadly never happened. I was the one who had to around 4 in the morning carry everyone back to our hotel and do
Yep.
multiple laps around the whole town to bring everyone back. So I think being the mum, the old man of the group has helped. They're all like your classic like lads, and I've never been a lads, and I've always been quite fortunate that peer pressure or anything never bothered me. So I've always quite enjoyed like they'll be there going, yeah, pint, pint, pint. Oh yeah, I'll try the Highland Park 12, please. So that's
Is,
always, especially if it's someone else's round, because then I'm normally quids in. But
yeah. Because you don't usually
so
get
that's
like £1 shots of Highland Park 12 or Lagavulin 16, so it's hard to, your friends come back a bit more disgruntled than you. Um, so when you're like, so 3 years ago was kind of, did you start this channel more that's kind of lockdown territory, kind of COVID? Was it more passing time and thinking that's just something you enjoyed, or did you watch other channels? Like, who's your kind of inspiration that you got this to go forward with it, or was it? Because speaking with Roy Aquaviti, he always said he would never go YouTube. He would never do it. He was quite open about that. I'll never do it. It's not for me. And now look how it's changed for him, and how it's, I would say, affected the whiskey industry, and the same in yourself, and kind of more positive people that are honest about reviews as well. There's no kind of pay partnerships and stuff, which I think's absolutely fantastic. So, what was your kind of idea to get into the whiskey YouTube?
so I'm annoying in the ways I don't like doing not doing anything, and I always like learning. And video editing, something I've always like admired, and kind of I grew up on YouTube, and so I kind of it's something I've always wanted to try, and this seemed like a good excuse. So I started, yeah, just before like all the COVID kickoff and all that lot. Um, and it was, yeah, so it was a way just to learn things. And if like you watch the old videos, you can see my editing skills. They haven't got good yet, but they were a lot worse than they are now. And it's been really fun, like learning every video. I try to learn a different technique. So I've trying to learn how to green screen, how to adjust the color grading, and like I've really embraced this whole purple aesthetic. And it's been a real fun, like I've really enjoyed connecting to the whiskey community because none of my friends are whiskey people. And it feels like being on YouTube, it's one putting myself out of my comfort zone. I'm not the most, I know what you're thinking, the loud shirts, the wild hand gestures make it seem like I'm a outgoing person, but I'm quite insular. I don't really go out of my way too much. I thought this will put me out of my comfort zone, get me a new skill, and yeah, it ended up falling in love with the whole community is the most thing. Like, why you would know what it's like. It's chatting to a camera, but you don't feel like that at the time.
Yeah.
For me, I'll be like chatting. So the video I just put out was like 15 minutes, and originally I recorded 45 because it's like you can just chat to someone about whiskey, even though no one's there. It's probably making me sound quite delusional now, but that's really what's lured me in is this whiskey community and how I feel like I can have a bit of a voice in it.
Do you find, so that'll put me on to the kind of next part with your shirt and your shades? Did you sit down that day and go, "This is what I'm wearing. Right, we'll just stick with this," or was that a pre-planned? Because it is, again, when you're saying it's out your comfort zone, is this, I don't know if you ever watched darts. There's a darts player called Peter Snakebite Wright, Scottish guy, and he always comes in painted head, totally done up, and wears the crazy stuff. But that's just his on stage persona. He wants to be someone completely different. He feels that's his comfort zone, being that one person. but out with that, he doesn't do all his hair. He just keeps it down. He would blend in with the kind of normal Joe public. So did you find that you wanted to change to be like, still you've got the same personality and things from when you speak to, you're very humble and you're very easy speaking to and easy to chat to, but the sunglasses and the shirts, was that just a whole just I'll do it, or friends, or was there pressure to say let's be this guy? What's your kind of reasoning behind it?
Probably to the disdain of my wife, I wear these shirts all the time. Um, I've always liked like Hawaiian shirts, and I don't know about you, but I get really warm filming. Like I've got a little light here, and
Yep.
I find like these shirts are a dream. I didn't start wearing these. I think maybe by the third video, I wore one of these shirts, not thinking anything of it, because that's just my normal attire, and it kind of stuck. And it's a real nice one. It's comfy to film in, and it's kind of helped with the whole brand of like myself has been packaged as a brand almost.
Yeah.
Which obviously ties in with my daily work of doing graphic design, branding, all that. It's been a nice like connection of the two.
Yeah.
And the shades only started about maybe a year and a half ago. So I had Bell's palsy. So it's like a partial paralysis of the face. So everything's like I've always had a bit like lopsided. I've not been a good person to look at. I've got a face for radio and a voice for silent films. It's a case of my whole left side of my face just dropped and I couldn't shut my eye. So I started wearing sunglasses, and since then I've got quite light sensitivity.
Right.
And it's quite funny. Like if you see me on a video where I don't have sunglasses, and if you can tell I'm getting maybe more tired, you can see my face start to slowly sink again. And I personally find it hilarious, and I'm really glad it's something I can talk about. Because more and more people seem to be, or I've met more people who are dealing with Bell's palsy. And very fortunate for me, I recovered like 95%. I'm still a bit dribbly when I eat cereal, but that's just entertaining. But yeah, so the shades kind of came on from then. And since then, one, it's quite nice because it means I can look around a bit more when I'm filming. So I can look and see, like if I'm doing a live stream, I can see the comments easier. Or I've got like a ring light, which you can see in the reflection there. It
Yep.
saves me kind of looking at it.
Yes, it takes
So
everything
kind
off
of
directly being in front of you. It's just more the kind of the side, and obviously it works for the brand, as you say. Like Jeff Whisky is a brand. It's not just this thing that you do. It's built that way, and I think if it changed, people there'd be uproar, there'd be anarchy. And I think Menno's just said if Jeff keeps bringing his game, 2 years from now, watching a Jeff Whisky video will be like watching a Marvel superhero flick. So for your editing skills, I get that. Hellswood's in. I've seen Stevie Gibson's in. How you doing? And Ben Marnock's in as well. How you doing? So more people have kind of popped in just now. As I say, any question you got for Jeff, go for it. I've got a couple, so if they're the same as mine, I'll just, and if they're really good, I'll just pretend they were mine as well. I'll just sign it off. So it kind of brings on to the slap. Was that just a one-off thing and you went, this kind of works? Because it's kind of going back to the early videos. I know for myself, it's like you don't really know what to speak about, how to kind of portray yourself and how to keep kind of going forward. Was something that you've always thinking like, is that a wee tagline? You know, someone's always got one foot in the grave. I don't believe it. Live with that forever now. Is that going to be, you're going to have to live with that forever? Unfortunately, that's going to be your thing. And I've seen all the videos when it's been sent around and everyone's done the slaps being put into the big one video as well. So what was the kind of thinking behind that? Was it just a one-off?
So luckily I've been called a slapper for years, but for different reasons. But it's a case of I did it. So on the first video, I did it without thinking. And then I reviewed my third video, and I reviewed Woodford Reserve, which you've got that very flat faced, like hip flask style thing. And as I was filming that, because I do go off on tangents and I shouldn't be on camera, and I just kind of picked up and just said, I really just want to slap it. So I did that on a video. And there was a channel called New Dram Drinker, Ant and Nikki, who they're brilliant, brilliant people. They started the Certified Originals, the COs, like which started as like a little whiskey Discord, which kind of grew. And they very much encouraged it, and they said, "Oh yeah, you should keep doing that." So I did it for a couple of videos without thinking, and I've done it before without thinking, and they said, "Oh, you should get people on to do it." So they said, "Can we do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's a great idea." So they did this brilliant, like, well edited slap video, and I
Yeah.
included it in a video of mine. And it was nice because it felt like I was reaching out to other channels. So while I'm being selfish with it on my channel, it's nice I could say, but look at these people, and so everyone can give their own flavor of what they do in this little clip. And I've been so lucky, like yourself, you've done the slap, and I imagine that was very degrading for you filming that.
it's it's hard because you feel like, I know watching you for so long now how you do it, and I'm like, how did do it? And it's natural, right? It's a natural thing because you go, well, this is it. This is how I do my videos, and it just completely works. But when you're just told, do it quickly, it's like, oh. I think I used a Port Charlotte at the time as well. Do you hit the label? Do you hit
Hefty.
the glass? Like, how do you? And it was like the most simplest thing to slap a bottle of whiskey, right? But I made it the most difficult challenge that I've ever faced in my life to figure out the dynamics behind what angle should it be. It was I stressed myself out. I don't get stressed now when I was like, I need to do this right. Then I watched other people when the big video went out, and mine wasn't first. And I thought, for God's sake, I've made an absolute meal of this. But you live and learn, right? So
Very grateful to have you join in.
Tim has asked, what are some of the goals you've set for yourself, if any? Have you got any kind of YouTube goals, whiskey goals? I don't know if it's going to be quite open. I don't know about, I don't think it'll be personal life goals. If you do, you can feel free to share if you wish, but I think it's going to be more your kind of whiskey or your YouTube and thing goals. Have you got any?
So at the start of this year, over this, I think it was like late November, December, I was like really knackered. I had so many bugs. Like my daughter just started preschool, and so they bring everything home. And so I just felt like I was constantly ill for ages. So I couldn't film, and it really kind of knocked me back quite a bit. And so at that point, I thought, right, I'm gonna take things slower on YouTube. I'm gonna like wind down an awful lot. I'm gonna try focus more on design stuff. Um, and so I went maybe 2 months without filming, and I've never had such an itchy finger to push the record button and like, I want to talk about this whiskey, or I really miss chatting in the comments with these people. So it was kind of that 3 months, which was meant to be the start of me stepping back. I released a video saying, like, really grateful for everyone's support. Unfortunately, I can't do a video weekly anymore. Maybe one a month at a very push, but I'll see how it goes. And then, yeah, I don't think it lasted longer than a month until I was like, yeah, I want to put another video out there. I want to start editing again. I want to start chatting about this whiskey or chatting about this. So I felt the most pumped to do videos since I hasn't starting this channel. And
Do you
so
think it was
from
kind of
there, well,
it was a bit of like a reset? Do you think that you were like, okay, I've done it for close to 3 years at that point, and then you've went and took a bit of time off, went, okay, I'm doing this, but what kind of avenue can I go down, and what does my DNA kind of want to be? And you've came back, and as you say, when you look at maybe the split between your videos, have you noticed like the editing is different from what you kind of maybe more wanted it to be, like that you were, I want to do it this way, and you've had that 2 months to think and go, right, I've got my ideas, I've got my goals, and now you're just kind of absolutely flying with it all?
yeah, so I've been flooded with ideas, and like I've just been sat with a whiskey and thought, oh, that's an interesting take on that. So I've kind of scribbled it down. Well, I used to have a notepad, but I've lost that somewhere. So it's full of gold somewhere in this room. But I just now write on my phone and just say, well, talk about how this whiskey's like this whiskey, or I wonder what would be. I can't remember, like one whiskey region, like one whiskey pair region. Would that be an interesting video? And it's really. I think the editing's still as bad as it ever was. Like it's a case of I'm trying to streamline it more now. So where it used to take me 16 hours to put out a video, I try to limit it to no longer than 10.
Yeah.
So the last video that went out today, I feel like there's less like clips, less little jokes and that like added in as you get nearer to the end, as I kind of ran out of time to get it done. But I think having a bit of a time scale on it's really kind of helped me keep me motivated to do it. And I've got to feel I haven't got anything filmed now. My plan is to film something over the weekend, and then it's like, oh yeah, that's exciting. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. Or I can add in this little clip. So I've really taken the YouTube approach of embracing pop culture and just including like weird little snippets and jokes and
Yes,
cutaways. Probably
and I
because I
love
grew
that.
up on stuff like Family Guy and
Yeah,
all these
SpongeBob.
quick cut. Yeah, SpongeBob's to blame for a lot of my life's problems.
It's been, but that's amazing. Again, that's just totally you, and it's, if you're watching a video and you just kind of turn around and it was on the wee breakaways and things, and it's not you at the point, you'd be like, oh, that's Jeff. Like, you kind of know that's you in a good way, right? Because it's kind of your MO, which you've kind of designed your own style and your own way of working through the years and going, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and you're starting on that pathway of this is exactly how I want to do it, and you seem like you're in that kind of set just now of to propel yourself going forward, and being on. If you're on the live, was that 2 nights ago? Was that last night? You were on somebody's live. There was a stream, I think. Am I getting that wrong? Was that
Uh,
last week?
that, I want to say that was last week. I want to say I,
Was
I
it?
can't keep up.
I don't know. I might have got
I
that.
am
I might have got that
I'm
wrong.
flying at the moment, so I can't keep up what I'm doing.
Right, what else have we got here? I think my mum popped in there. Hi, mum. Think if you're here, hello. If you're not, hello anyway. Oh, she is.
Hi, Kevin's
Hello.
mum.
Hi. Stephen Gibson asked, is that a Bruichladdich 20-year-old I poured from Whiskey Broker? No, I didn't win the ballot. It's actually, I just poured my second dram, and it's a Glen Laird 10-year-old from the guys at Tricara. Their Stravig spirits actually helped me doing their tasting notes, and they bottled this for their overseas market, I think the Asian market. And out of all the samples I tried throughout my kind of 6 months with them, this was my favourite cask that I tried. And the niceness of them, what they done and decided to do was bottle this 10-year-old single malt, Highland single malt, which I still don't know to this day what it is, as a wee thank you. And they gave me a bottle as well. And I really do like it. And I'm not just saying that, it's quite quirky and different. So unfortunately, it's not the Bruichladdich 20-year old. I'm gutted I missed out on that because it was £90 from Whiskey Broker, single cask strength. Unbelievable when you look at the 18-year-old for price. And that brings another thing as well, like talking about price of whiskey. Do you have budgets now that when you go to buy whiskey, or do you just think, nope, quality, I'm going to get it, it's £150, it doesn't bother me? Or do you try and find, have you got a wheelhouse that you'll stretch to?
I feel like I'm the cheapest person on Whiskey Tube. I don't like spending money. I'm very much there's no other word than sad. I am sad, and I have spreadsheets for every penny that goes out, and I track everything. So I've always had like I won't go higher than this bottle. So for a long time it was £50. I won't go higher than that.
Mhm.
And then that was broken. So you think, okay, I won't go higher than 65. Okay, I won't go higher than 70. And it's still like, so I released a video of how much I spent in 1 year because I know lots of people, I think it's quite easy to get lost, say on Instagram. There's lots of people who have thousands of bottles, possibly none are opened, or they've all been given by distilleries, or they're kind of maybe giving a false impression of what it could be like to be a whiskey enthusiast, and it could be maybe off-putting to some people. So I've tried to be as open as I can because I don't have big budgets. I like to kind of just keep it real and keep it cheap. So my most expensive to date is I want to say it's £89 for one bottle, so it's not super high, and that was Roy Aquavita, the two Ardnamurcans.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said I was going to buy one because it's all exciting, and then I helped Roy with the little fly on the bottle. So I redrew the bar fly to go on there. So it's kind of like that's something I've done on a bottle.
So it's good. You
So
want
I
that.
had to,
Yeah.
yeah, I had to get both. That definitely broke the bank. And then this year was the year of right, no bottles. I've got so much I could drink a dram probably every day to the day I die. And then that has been broken, I think once. That is the one that I've just got on the glass now, which is the Siren Bay
Yeah,
18-year-old.
I'd seen you pop that on one of your I think it was Instagram the other day. What is that then?
So it's a heavily peated 18-year-old from Highland. They
Oh,
don't say what it is. Lots of people said it's Talisker, because it's why instead of it being islands, technically it's Highlands kind of thing.
yep.
It's an Atom Brands release, a Master of Malt release. Lots of people bought it. It dropped to £49.
Wow.
So I thought 18-year-old, I think it's 46, 45.7%. So I
That's
thought, that seems really
fancy.
good value, and I'm a sucker for a good label.
Yeah, that's right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah. So I had to go and get it. And yeah, some people have said it's Talisker, some people have said Lecheg. I think to me it's more Talisker-y. Like it
Okay.
hasn't got the Chegg for me has got like a real earthy heart core to it.
Mhm.
Well, I feel like this is slightly more peppery. Like it hasn't got the fruits that Talisker 18 has got, but it's got, yeah. Apparently as well, someone said it could have been a random peated knock do or something.
Right. Okay. I thought I'd
Uh,
throw a spanner in there.
and it could have been like who Boutique Whiskey Club. They're connected to Master Malt. They're all part of the same umbrella, and some people said it's just a rebottled one of them. I've been very impressed by it. I'm maybe only this is the fourth dram down. And they're only small pours I've had of it, and I don't love it,
But
but
you
I
don't hate
don't
it.
I don't dislike it, and I think it's one that's going to keep getting better and better. It's
Yep.
reminded me a bit of Lefroy Law,
Yeah. Yeah.
which Lefroy is my jam, but that's really I've really taken a while to connect with that one. Maybe it's just because I've been like, okay, yeah, it's a bit pricey, but so I'm impressed. But yeah, I am. To sum it all up, I am a cheapskate.
Yeah, I'm not too far behind you on that. I kind of like looking for good bargains and stuff, and just looking at the shelf right me. I've got Electric Tennyson, the Electric Sinclair series. That was like £30 or so. I've got Kilkerran heavily peated. That's like 50 odd pounds as well. Um, that's just and then there's other things that are more, to be fair, but like kind of things in front of you, you can definitely buy for good quality price. So I've got Rick Johnson's asking a techie question. So this is for you because it's not for me. He's asking what type of camera do you use for your videos? So obviously not just now, but your usual camera. Do you know?
So yeah, currently I'm using my phone, which is nothing fancy, and my camera. Can I pull it out without falling down? It's just a webcam. It's just it's a fancy webcam. I think
Yeah,
it's like £110 now. Um, but it was cheap just before everything went expensive with webcams for before like the lockdown. Logitech Brio 4K something, and it's just something that I can quickly just plug into the laptop and film straight away. So I used to do all mine on my phone, and then I started to learn because I keep phones for probably too long. I had the iPhone like 4 for maybe 8 years. So I tried to keep things going, and my phone definitely couldn't handle the filming. It was going to explode every time I started recording. So I've now, yeah,
I use
settled
my
with a
phone. Like I
webcam.
think the room. Well, today I just bought. I don't know what you call it, but I was messing about with this and I was going to use it tonight, and it's I don't know what it is. I got it off is it Timu, that website
Oh
that everyone
yeah.
says don't buy from. So Kev decides to buy from it, obviously. But it's got an app and it follows your face. So you can say follow the whiskey. So if I'm sitting talking, but I thought, see, if this is the first night we're doing this, I guarantee if I used this, it would start going round in circles and just it wouldn't work. But I messed about with it earlier on. It did, so this could be a wee change for me. But I only use my phone, as I say. I've not got the room in here, especially in this. I live in a flat, or for Americans, an apartment. We've not got much room, so this is the office because my partner, she works from home. Well, she calls it the office, and I say her office things get in the way of my whiskey. But it's a nice enough table, and it has a wee stand here that I can put the phone on. It's all level, so it works for me. And I say the whiskey was here first to be technical whiskey. I think he was here before lawyers and things. So that's always my argument. And there's one empty shelf, so I can obviously put more whiskey on it in the future when I start buying some things. So Stephen Gibson says there's an Knock 12 for £28. That's something I suspect he buys for good quality price. Greg's Whiskey Guys popped in and says, missed the notification about this live. Hi Jeff and Kev, what did I miss? Greg, you missed Jeff saying he was going to buy everyone a bottle of Daffmill, so unfortunately you missed that one. No, I'm only joking. If you've got any questions for him, feel free to throw them in here, guys, as well. So Michael Wood has got a question here. So Michael Wood is saying, I live in the South Coast and there is no whiskey culture, clubs, or even other people with a whiskey interest or culture. Has Jeff encountered this problem from where you are? That's a really good question, I would say, for especially just being, you say, from the coast and things.
Yes, I'm exact same. There is nothing. The nearest whiskey, so there's a whiskey festival in Bristol, which is maybe an hour away from me. Because I grew up bottom of Devon and I've moved up, so this is like the bottom end of England, and I've kind of moved up now to Somerset. To the great shame of my parents, like me and my in-laws have a big debate of Devon versus Somerset. I now live in Somerset, but yeah, there's nothing around here. There's no whiskey clubs. There was like a blog called Somerset Whiskey Reviewer. And I tried to get in touch with him when I first started getting into whiskey. It's like, oh yeah, someone who could be close to me. And yeah, sadly, he probably saw one of my videos, but yeah, I'm not going to get back to him.
Yeah.
But there's no clubs, and I've toyed with starting one. But it's the commitment. I know that would then, even if it didn't take off, and there's like 3 or 4 of us, that I feel that would take away from my time doing Whiskey Tube. For the moment, I'm really enjoying yelling at a camera, hoping someone's going to listen. And then maybe one day I'll try and get a club. But I live in a tiny little village, like 3 roads, it almost feels like. So there's no shops around, let alone whiskey clubs. Or so the nearest is Bristol, and luckily there is a whiskey festival in Bristol. So I've done that once, and I'm hoping to do that again this year. But yeah, online is the best place.
Yeah, I would see that. I think looking at the Aquavita Bar fly chat as well, people trying to start clubs in areas, and I think Charlie there could be one of the things is to put something out. There's one someone had mentioned about a club to start in a kind of town near to me, so I put my name forward and says here I'll come along, anything I can support with and help with. Because I help run the Stirling Whisky Society. So when I used to work in the Scottish Gantry, the shop where the kind of whiskey journey started for me, the last Thursday of every month, brand ambassador would come in, or a rep from somewhere, and we would host. So I would go and set everything up and it was always oat cakes out, dark chocolate, little things at the very start to like people want to just snack on and so forth, and sit and talk for 2 hours about whiskey. And I think if you can find a place that will accept you in, some pubs will have certain areas, find out a night, and then I'm now on this email list to be like, and it's now going to votes of what night works for everyone. There's this night, and it will just go to the vote. You're not going to make everything right, even if it's the last Thursday of every month, things come up and so forth. But if you can make most of them, so I would say try and reach out locally or start our own Facebook page or something. But online's a good way to start, as you said. It's a way to, like, you've been up to Glasgow now through the whiskey community and been to tastings up here and festivals, and it can just completely grow, right, at an alarming pace. I've got...
It can get...
On you go, sorry.
I can say it can get out of hand quick.
Oh, like, absolutely.
3 years ago, I wouldn't have imagined myself flying up to Glasgow to do a blind tasting in a room full of people who I've never met face to face and just having an absolute blast.
The funniest thing about that is always when you meet people from YouTube and like their whiskey name isn't their name, and you're like, "Oh, you're Aquavite, so you must be. What's your real name again?" Like it's bizarre, right? Because that's how you know from watching them through a screen. So I remember the first time doing that as well, going to a tasting and being like, "Oh, I don't know anyone, but I know he's all from YouTube." But it's so relaxed, right? It's weird. You can be biased towards the whiskey community, but it is such a laid back community, and everyone's just so nice and accommodating. Dame Judy Hench is asking, Jeff, what is your favourite shirt? Good question.
Oh, this is the real nitty gritty stuff now. This is playtime's over. I'm quite fond of this one. This is a very baggy shirt. He did say best shirt, didn't he?
Yeah, so he says,
I'm,
no, just your favourite shirt, not best.
I was thinking, I've gone on a strange. He's probably asked like, "What's your favorite bottle?" And I've gone a strange tangent talking about flowery shirts. This one's a good one because it's very baggy and flowy. I've got some more wild ones which I've worn a couple of times. I've got and some dirt cheap ones I bought offline that have been like £4, and you dread to think how it's been made. But my favorite one is the one that I'm wearing at the time.
Quality, good kind of
Easy.
well-rounded answer. That like the fan, not the fan favorite, but your PR would be like,
yeah,
thumbs up for that one. Charlie Holmes is asking, I'll open this to both of us, right? How many bottles or open bottles do you roughly have at the moment? I'm running low on stock and need to restock at the moment. I don't like having too many open at once, though. I'm very guilty for having. I've got, I think, 100 bottles. Just say, and I'll say I've got 90 open. I'm so excited to try whiskey that I've not tried, and I buy it and I bring it home and I just kind of open it straight away because I need to know. So I've got so much sitting open. Yeah, there's a few. I'm trying to like really hone back in on it because it's you open them, then you don't visit it for a while, then it just sits and sits, and it's like, what was the point? Instead of finding the right moment to actually do it. So I've got, maybe 85 to 90% of my whiskey is open, which kind of looking at that scale is quite. I don't know if that's good or bad. It's good that I'm not going to resell it, right? But it's there for a reason. What about you? Are you a kind of opener, or do you wait for the right time to open your whiskey?
To begin with, I very much was an opener. It was maybe 95% of every bottle I had was open. Now, because I don't get as much chance to drink, I do like the school runs twice a week, and like it's between, and I kind of work late in the evenings to make up hours, so I don't really have as much chance to ram as I like. So I've tried to hold back on opening them straight away. I would say I think I'm like I want to say 95 now. I did keep track, but I can't remember, and a few have gone recently. So we'll say 97, and I would say only 70% are open.
Yep.
Which possibly that could be slander in the whiskey community. They may think I'm a collector reselling. No one's buying my bottles of Jameson that are not open, you know.
But that's a long time. Like, you think, I've got bottles in here that have been open for years as well, and I've got some that have just been freshly open. Like my review tomorrow was just again an uncorking to open it. So that's the thing. Sometimes I do reviews and I just like, this isn't open. Cool, open it, review it, and then come back to it in years to come, or weeks and weeks to come. So Charlie Holmes has asked a hard question now, which no, sorry, that was Charlie's question. Greg's Whiskey Guide has asked the hard questions. I should have said, any hard questions you need to write in the back of a £10 note and send it to each of us. But he wasn't in at the start and he missed the memo, so we'll let him off. So he's asking what distillery that we're both raving about, but we're yet to try, and that's in the Scotch or world whiskey. Like, that's a really good question, because I don't know if you're like me, you've tried quite a lot. It's hard to keep tabs of kind of new, but it's a cracking question.
Yeah, that's it's difficult because I tend to not get excited about something until I've tried it.
Mm-hmm.
So King's Barn, for example, I'm in love with that distillery only based on their Dream to Dram.
Yep.
And they discontinued that, but I'm desperate to try more King's Barn, but I'm also like Isla Rassi, the one, I don't know, Torabeg, but I've tried that. I don't know if there's anything that I've not tried. I'm quite good at having my blinkers on and being like, if I've not tried a sample of it yet, or it's kind of quite easy for me to ignore it, maybe.
I think.
But like, I'm really pumped for like what Torabeg are doing.
Yeah, they had some new thing at the weekend. There was a festival. It was really good. I can't remember the cast finish on it, but I was like, oh, this is this is quality stuff. And I've kind of went back on the peat wagon, bourbon, ex-bourbon cask, peat, like refill or kind of first or whatever, just that the bourbon notes coming from it. And I'm excited just now about Ardnahoe, because I went to Ardnahoe last year and I was with Roy, and to show you, like, I can't remember who their master distiller is, but we ended up meeting him later on that night. But the tour guide wouldn't give us anything to try, not the new make or anything. I love trying barley at a distillery to see what the malt that they use. They'll always kind of sometimes hand it out, and I'll just say, can I try some? And I always like to try to see what it was. And I like the barley and things. I was like, okay, I'd love to try it. But they're due to release on the 10th of May, I think it is their first release. And that's Hunter Lane. So that's one I'm really keen, because I love the distillery. It's brand new. It's like a NASCAR circuit. It's just so easy to get round. You go round in a loop in that shoe. Like, you go in the still house, warehouse, everything is just so easy to get round. So I'm quite intrigued to try that. And then World Whiskey, I like balcones or balconies from Texas. I'd love to go and actually be on site to see how everything's done, because it's a different climate and stuff. So that'd be my kind of World Whiskey for trying. But that's, yeah, Ardnahoe just now is what I've got my eye on for sure.
Good shout.
So hopefully that answers your question, Greg. And if you've got any other harder ones, I'm going to be devastated. Nah, it's fine. It's a good one. Dream to Dram. So Alan Smith is saying Dream to Dram goes cheap in auction. So if you're on the auction sites, you might be able to pick.
Good to know. How do you feel about auction sites?
Well, two sides to it. So just for there, the other day, I bought a bottle of, I can't remember what it is now. It's from the 60s, from 1960s. Bit of history, and I got it for, I think I paid £22. Obviously, I tried to open it, and it just went, no, the cork just absolutely disintegrated, and I had to get the tea bag and everything. But at the blind challenge last year, I brought a bottle of black and white from the 70s that I got from the auction. So for me, I find auctions, I don't look for like Springbanks and stuff. I don't go near that. I like to try things that, what was whiskey like back in the day? What was everyone drinking? You know, why was it so big, and why were blends so big? So I was able to pick up that for like 20 odd pounds from something from the 60s. I opened it, I've tried it. It is below average, I would say, but I don't know if it's because it's been in the bottle for so long and I've just opened it and poured it and tried it. And I had this issue before with a Deanston 8-year-old from the 80s, I think it was. And a week later, after it had been open, I tried it again. It was great. So I'm hoping that could happen, but it might not. But I don't look for big things. Sometimes I'll put bids on for something, say like £40 max, like the very first day, and then if I don't get it, I don't get it. I don't get caught up in it, because it's frustrating, because what you see in the auction world, right? But sometimes you can find a lucky bargain, because it will overflood with things. But I like finding older bottles that I know nothing about, just to have something super old on my shelf. So I've got two from the 70s and one for the 60s there just now. What's your thoughts on it?
So I've only very lightly dipped my little toe into auctions, and that was when I was desperate to get my hands on the Kilkerran port cask, because that whiskey done things to me. It was one that I had to hunt down. So I kind of, like you had, I had a max price. I put max price on like 3 or 4 listings, because obviously with Kilkerran and Springbank, they get all bought up and just chucked straight onto auction sites. So I think there's like a good 15-20 bottles of the Kilkerran port.
Yep.
Yeah, no joy. And I kept like going for like the weird stuff as well. Like use some of the strange old like blend bottles, which I've never heard of. I was kind of going for that, and I've had no wins from auctions. I feel like it could be a slippery slope I could go down, but it's like just hearing about Dream to Dram on there. That's tempting me.
Yeah, because especially if it's coming up at a good price as well. And I've got an auction house not too far, so I don't pay the shipping fees. I can just go and pick it up, which saves you a good few pounds. What time are we on here? About 10 minutes, so we'll go another couple of questions and we'll go. So I think Tim's asking, you put a lot of clips in your videos. What are your favourite movies to source clips from? Have you got ones that you're like, nah, this is my kind of go-to, or just depending on the video?
I'm now. I've said many times I'm sad, but I'm even sadder now because I'll watch stuff and then I'll quickly whip up my phone and be like, "Okay, that's funny. I could use that with this." Or I've just had a whiskey that tasted like a dumpster fire. There's a clip of a dumpster fire. Yeah, I can. I'll try to put two and two
Yeah,
together. It's probably where I sink the most time in editing because there's so much stuff. Like I grew up watching all like the Naked Gun films, all the like the real like daft comedies, and
the
so
good
I
stuff.
could, yeah, my head can just fly to them straight away. Like and even like Anchorman, all the kind of more just wild,
Yeah,
nonsensical comedies tend to be what I grew up on. And like I love films and TV shows, but yeah, the hardest thing is thinking, yep, there's a clip here. Where is it? And being able to source it and find it. I've had to give up on so many clips because I can't find them. I've tried to get so many Wallace and Gromit clips, and I've had a couple be said you can't do this because of
copyright.
copyright.
Yeah.
So
Is,
I've kind of
is there
had to
ways to
edit
get
that.
around that? Yeah, I was going to say, is there ways, do you have to kind of credit them in the video, or is there certain things that you have to do to, or they just say, no, you can't use our Play-Doh, get your own?
With most things, if it's like, say, if it's a YouTube channel that I watch and people may be interested, I always try to like say, oh, this clip's from here, or I'll put their like handle in the video. But most things that are like from big films and that, like if I use the Avengers clip where he says perfectly balanced, um, I've been fine getting away with that. Apparently, there's like a 6 second rule.
Right, if you get
Music
under
has
that.
messed me up.
Okay.
I've had people submit guest slaps that have background music.
That's a big
So
issue.
So on one video that I've released, I have been like said, this is one of your warnings. You're using, and it's like, well, I'm not using it, and I'm sorry.
It's
But yeah, no, it's
no, is it, so you just kind of go with the moment, what works with what you're kind of doing, and go, oh,
yeah.
that movie, I remember this, that'll fit in, and it does. Like every time it goes in for me, it's always runs smoothly and quite concise with it. Stephen's saying there, did I get the Matthew Adams? I didn't. So Matthew Adams is a tomatin. I never actually ended up getting it because I took my eye off the ball with it. Stephen ended up getting this bottle for the 60s. Whiskey Wings keep an eye out for the Italian Export 43% grouse bottles. They're mega. Drew from AZ's in, Drew, buddy. Really good to see you. Highland Whiskey currently doing a miniature auction with loads of old stuff. So there we go. People just kind of picking their favourites as well. And so I'm going to get on to this last wee bit. I know I'm keeping you. What we got? We're doing really well. I think we'll keep it under the hour. So some people were asking at the start. So I got a kind of job working alongside Tomatin as a brand ambassador. I went on a course with them with Whiskey Novice, not Jim Whiskey Novice, his other Whiskey Novice, Simon, and he's actually up at Torrevieja just now. And we went on a brand ambassador course and to go and host some tastings. So I'm actually on I think it's the 18th of May. I'm at the House of Brewer, which is up towards Lochray, up the A9, and I'll be there between 11 and 4, just kind of hosting tastings. I think people coming in, I get to give them some drams, and then I'll be going to some clubs and things as well, not nightclubs, hosting whiskey tastings. That'd be a carnage, but some whiskey clubs. I think I've got one up in Ullapool that I'll be going to in June, and then I think I'm in Largs and stuff. So I get to travel around, which is going to be, I get to dip my toe in this world, and the 4 days in Tomatin was just beyond phenomenal. We accidentally got locked in the warehouse and were able to open casks, which was a nightmare. So that was one of the great experiences. So hopefully, kind of kick off with some more tastings and things coming up for this summer, which I'm really looking forward to. Cabogan 12, Hell's Whiskey poured a Cabogan 12. Cabogan is phenomenal. I tried a 2005 single cask and ended up keeping it in my pocket because I absolutely loved it. And I took it back to the room, fell asleep, and I woke up and Hillary drank it, which is fine because it's really good. So it's not as if she done it for, she likes peaty whiskey, so my peaty whiskey goes quite quickly. The other thing I'm going to say, we'd said that we'd be kind of collaborating together slightly, and one way or another. I put a little poll out a good few weeks ago now about changing the name, and I reached out to Jeff because I knew Jeff would be the man because he's a design guy, he knows everything. I said, Jeff, I've put a poll out, and in all fairness, it was I think it was 60% said keep the Kev Grant on whiskey, and 40% said change your name. But 60% was people, my friends, that were saying, no, you need to keep your name. But the 40%, there was a lot more whiskey YouTube and influence that said change it to this. And that's why, I know you put it to a vote, but that was my reasoning why I'm going to change my name. So there's 34 people in here just now. So I'm going to be changing my name, but nothing drastic. We've decided on Let's Talk Whiskey. So Jeff has made me an amazing new logo, branding and stuff, which the start of May I'll be releasing and changing. The channel will stay the same, everything will stay the same, but Jeff has been amazing at how he's been able to put everything together from my pea brain and to go to Jeff and decide that this is how it's going to work. And I was like, sold, I'm in, let's do it. And so I'll be changing the name to Let's Talk Whiskey. That's going to be it coming up. So don't be sad because sad spelled backward is das, and that's not good. It's something I always learned, and I always find it funny. So, but the name will change soon, but the videos will stay the same. That's going to be that. Drew's saying, if I start a club here in Tuscan, maybe we can get Tomato to send you here. Drew, I'll go to the moon if they send me there. I'll go anywhere. I'll come over for free anyway and host a tasting. Drew, don't you worry. Greg saying, glad you visited some distilleries. Scott is very cool. Always talking about Scott from Tomato. Had the chance to try the 36 Round on the counter once, and it was, yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's all really good. But again, Jeff, I need to say thanks for letting me, well, you designing everything for me. And as I say, I'll tease it shortly. I'll try and figure out how to do this thing on Instagram. You put the 4 boxes in and you tease like a bit every day, and it shows at the end like catchphrase. You know, you reveal the boxes. I'll figure that out. So last little bit, I've decided to come up with this little segment. I don't know how long it'll last because it's going to be very difficult to come up with more questions. It's a kind of either or. So it's going to be one or the other. So you have to kind of choose one or the other. You don't have to give any reason unless you really want to. But I have 10 here that you have to choose from. And again, you won't be offending anyone. It's whiskey's so subjective to yourself. And if you do, just remember I'm asking questions, not answering them. So don't be annoyed at me. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying for that. So first question, Kev, 1 second. What have we got here? This is all jumped on. Maybe I missed something. I'm getting asked, Kev, we'll get into Juniper for tasting me night in Dunfermline. Stephen, I'm sold on that as well. Petehead saying, congrats, thank you, on the Let's Talk Whiskey. That's it. I'm just dropping the name and just putting the Let's Talk Whiskey in. So Jeff, I wish I was able to edit in like amazing background music to be like, you know, just set the tone. But as I say, I'm quite computer literate, unfortunately. So 10 questions, and it's going to be one or the other. All right. So are you ready?
Yeah, ready as I'll ever be.
Oh goodness, right. So here we go. Lagavulin or Kalila?
Oh, you start off hard stuff. Lagavulin.
English whiskey or Irish whiskey?
English whiskey, just for the Cotswolds.
This Isla Peat or Highland Peat?
It's got to be Isla Peat.
A Glencairn glass or a Capita glass? Or a Glencairn glass or a different glass? Any type of glass?
Glencairn, because that's what I've got the most of.
Yeah, same. A whiskey cocktail or another style of cocktail?
Another style of cocktail, because then there's more choice.
Nice. Okay, yeah. Beer and whiskey or chocolate and whiskey?
Don't really drink beer anymore, and I've got a real addiction to the Chokiskis. So chocolate and whiskey.
Nice. And I've kind of went into my own wee bit here of an older style blend or the newer blends?
Older blend, because then it's a better snapshot in time.
Nice. online tasting or in-person tasting?
I've done a lot more online tasting, and they have been so large steps in my journey. But the smell and being with people in person, I think, edges it.
And I think that's one of the harder questions, just because online is great as well. You're in your comfort, your own home, everything's there, but being in person is great. They've both got a lot of. To be fair, all the questions got positives for each, right? But that's fine. So in person, so here's one. This is probably the toughest one yet for you. Sunglasses or no sunglasses?
I think everyone will agree. Sunglasses.
Totally do. And the last question: let's talk whiskey or let's not?
Let's always talk more whiskey. Let's talk whiskey.
Quality, Jeff. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, and sorry you to be the guinea pig for the first one, but I think it's went well. I hope everyone else has also felt it's went well, and to be an insight into Jeff's journey and where he's seen himself going in the future. It's been a great insight, and I think people follow channels that they like, but they don't know the person behind the screen because they see them for 5 to half an hour once a week or whatnot. So I thought to get you on to kind of get the personality and the story behind it it's really been a cracking insight with yourself, and I'm appreciative of you taking up the time on a busy night. I know you're a very busy man with family and other things as well. So I know we hours here and there think it's nothing, but I can appreciate the time taken out for you. It's been great, and I appreciate you coming on the channel and being such a good sport as well. And I would say you answered all the questions correctly as well, in my opinion. So hopefully, if everyone else agrees that he
Oh, no,
has.
this has been great fun. Thank you for having me as your guinea pig. It's gone very, very smoothly.
No, and what we'll do, I'm sure we'll get you back on again at some point when if I get this other wee camera thing working and it can follow me all around, and my editing skills become anywhere half as good as yours. I think I'll be doing all right. But what I'm thinking now is, he says we'll keep it to an hour. We're just a couple of minutes over. It gives us time to go and relax, refresh, and I think I'm going to go and tune into Aquaviti now because he's live from Donach Distillery, and I love Thompson Bros. I think you'll be getting some quality content and whiskey from up there. But Jeff, again, thank you. One of the a wee glass to say thanks for coming on, and everyone else for being good sports and putting questions in as well. So thank you so much, and I'll see you again. But as always,
cheers.
Kev from Kev Getting All Whiskey, and join me next time, and let's talk whiskey. Slange.
Oh, he said the thing.